What is up, guys? So today we're going to talk about brand building within the direct-to-consumer channel. Okay, so direct-to-consumer gets a lot of love and a lot of hate. But in my opinion, and in many other people's opinions, no big brand is going to be big without retail and direct-to-consumer. One feeds the other. So it's the future. I mean, half the people right now alive didn't even use the internet. So think of the next 20, 30, 40 years. Everyone that's being born right now is going to have an iPhone in their hand by probably age 7. If you're a responsible parent, age 9, 10 maybe. But we know how that goes. So everyone being born right now is going to be a future online e-com consumer, and that's only going to make the channel bigger and bigger. So it's very important that any brand being started today has a direct-to-consumer channel. And besides, even in today's world, retail stores like Target, the first thing they ask you when you apply to be a supplier is, hey, what's going on your social media? How's your DTC? How many sales are you getting? How big are you? So obviously there's still ways to get past that, but if you're the person without any connections or a new product on the market that is interesting, they'll ask you what your social media is like. With that said, over the last couple of years, I've started 2 brands and I bought 1 brand. Obviously the one I bought is doing much better because we had existing customers, there was an existing cash flow, we had some wholesale accounts, stores all over the country, and I have a very clear overview of what I did wrong in the last couple of years and what I have to do next to not only fix that, but also never make the same mistakes ever again. The first tip I have for you guys is if there's a business that is up for sale, and that could be for any reason, it doesn't mean that the business is doomed. It could be, in my case, a small fallout between the owners where they were like, we don't want to deal with it, I don't like the guy, whatever, I'd rather just get rid of the business. Or it could be someone retiring, or it could be someone just not passionate about it. I mean, that would probably be the dumbest reason, the last one, but the first 2 are reasons that happen every single day. So I got an opportunity to acquire 52% of the brand for an incredible price, and I did. And the reason why it has been able to scale much faster is because of the existing business. We've had thousands of customers, we had wholesale stores, and it's a great brand. I mean, the products are great. So it's like a pretty lucky acquisition. You're more likely to get lucky when you're hustling rather than not. I mean, if I never had an agency, I would have never found them as a client. So, I was working. We still grew the company 20% year over year, even when they were just a client. And the moment we had total control, 94% year over year. Now, with that said, this is gonna segue into my next tip, because even though the business was cash flowing, I made the same exact mistakes as I did with the startups, because literally when I started my first gummy brand, my partner that acquired the existing brand with me saw that in 3 months, the business was making 20 to 40K a month, the gummy brand, right? The one I started, which, keep in mind, I was 21 years old when I started that. And this is like a very realistic DTC story, because there's a lot of kids out there that will, post crazy screenshots that's not their Shopify store. They're like, oh, I'm making 3 million a month. And yeah, there are people like that, but the greater majority of them are probably scammers trying to sell you a course. And I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. I knew the basics, Facebook ads, influencers, right? Everyone knows these keywords. Everyone knows how to recruit an influencer. Everyone knows how to waste money on ads. But I never had the opportunity to light my money on fire and put my back against the wall as an owner, right? Like when you're an agency, you know all these concepts, but you don't really know what it feels like when you're on your last fucking dollar and you're a week away from bankruptcy, right? So with that said, I got lucky with a couple influencers. We started selling. We ran the ads. The ads were worthless because I guess gummies, it's just, if I ran the ads on TikTok, maybe they'd be better, but on Facebook, it was worthless. And I didn't know anything about ads back then. I just knew how to make pretty videos, right? So my partner saw that month 3, we're cash flowing around 30, 40K, and that's how we ended up acquiring the client. My partner believed in me. They said, wow, you're a dumbass and you're making 40K a month from 3K in expenses on marketing. Okay, let's buy the company. So in a way, me starting that startup really was just a sign from the universe that, like, hey, go into brand building. This is not the one, but you figure it out. And that's literally what happened. So we acquired the company. I made the same exact mistakes. I didn't pay attention to the cash conversion cycle for both accounts. And the reason why the existing brand survived is because of the additional cash flow that we had, okay? We took on a lot of stupid debt where it's like 20, 30% interest rates, maybe up to even 40% with the, you know, the services like Shopify Capital, Wayflyer, which they're great if you need it, but you have to be on point with your cash flow, right? We used a lot of that money to introduce new formulas that did not make sense. So my second tip that is really important is really your cash conversion cycle, okay? So it's a little easier to figure out if you have an existing book of business. So we didn't pay attention to this. This is, you know, this sounds great on paper, but I did not pay attention to this when I started, which is why I was in such a pickle for over 2 years. If you have a top seller, which the existing brand did, the gummies didn't, I didn't really know what was going to be a top seller. And then we had issues with shipping, you know, where the port in California where the ingredients to make the gummies were stuck, and that put a, you know, delay in restocking, which slowed down the business, and then the gummy trend died down. So I cut myself a little slack on the gummies. That was my first dry run. I didn't really understand what I was doing apart from like the generic digital marketing terms. But on the existing brand, that's where I really learned the bulk of the business, okay? So there, I had an opportunity to look into the cash conversion cycle, but I didn't until now. It took a lot of shitty debt and a lot of mistakes to realize like, oh wait, this is not worth the investment. Like if I lay out X amount, it takes way too long to be cash flow positive on it. So this does not make sense, right? For that brand, we had a top seller, which is still the top seller to this day. And we were able to double the business in a year, but it was in a very stupid way. So we grew the company literally 100% year over year. And we introduced a lot of new formulas, which 90% of those formulas did not make sense, okay? The only saving grace was that one of our manufacturers allowed a super low minimum quantity order. So even though it was still a mistake launching those, because think about it, even at 20 SKUs at a low order, that's still tens of thousands of dollars that you're laying out for new formulas, that it doesn't really make sense to put the marketing budget into it if they're not that popular for your brand, right? And then there were a couple SKUs that we launched that we were required to put a higher minimum quantity order on, and that just, it fucked us. Like that fucked us. And I would say that was the biggest mistake, right? If I could do it all over again, I would have just focused on the top seller. I would have maybe introduced one or two of the formulas out of the 20 something that we did. And I would have taken on debt to just hit it hard with the marketing and just do that for 2, 3, 4 years, right? Which is kind of what we're doing now. We have one launch coming up that we know will do pretty well. But other than that, we're focusing on the core formulas. We're slightly improving the product, you know, with feedback from customers, from old customers and new customers. But other than that, it just, the financial implications of launching brand new product without proven sales is insane for an existing business. So at the end of the day, your cash conversion cycle really is gonna make your business healthy. If you don't have that down, nothing makes sense. And there's ways to manage a positive cash conversion cycle. Usually if you're not funded, like if you don't have investors, it's gonna be a hybrid of net payments from your manufacturer and debt. And it's up to you as a business operator to make the debt make sense, right? Like if you're sweating every single month to make the debt payments, that's not a good deal. So do a hybrid of talking to your manufacturer about net payments, minimum quantity orders, and debt. One of the biggest tips I have for new business owners as well is do not overhire. In our digital world with crazy technology today, you don't need, you know, agencies charging you $10, $20, $30, $40,000 a month. If you're a bootstrapped startup, you can start out yourself. And honestly, as a business operator, if that's your forte, like if you're not, you know, independently wealthy from something else and you're just like, okay, I have an idea and I have money to burn and grow something. If you're starting out like me where, you know, you're bootstrapped, you should learn everything yourself, because how can you lead without understanding how Facebook ads work, how Google ads work, how content creation works, how negotiating with influencers works? You have to understand that it's a pain in the ass, and a lot of people will not care about your company as much as you do, which is normal. I mean, if they're your employees and they don't have equity, even if they have equity, sometimes they really don't give a shit. Happened to me. You should know how everything works so that if there's a fire and you need to help put it out, you're not relying on someone who doesn't really give a fuck about your company. Like, you should do it yourself, right? Like, to this day, I go into the Facebook ads account every single day. I go into Google ads. Even though I have people helping me out, I like to look at everything and make sure that it's going as it should. I want to make sure that most of the ads are making sales. I want to make sure that we're positive on our ad spend. So you should definitely learn everything yourself. And then once you understand the basics and you're cash flowing, slowly start to hire. Slowly. Because if you hire 10 people, it's just at small budgets, there's not enough work to go around for people. That's that. I mean, listen guys, if you need help with your brand, Thrive DTC, we're here to help you out. I have a team that has taken care of small brands, big brands, from content to all sort of marketing, whether it's event marketing or digital marketing, paid media, everything you can think of in the brand building space. We can help you out. Whatever you're lacking in, hit us up. We'll see if we can help you out, and then we'll take it from there. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.